Hello everyone, Don here again with the latest on my War Corsair. If you watched the video from yesterday, I had to take the plane apart so I could adjust the rudder cables to a lower position on my pedal assembly. Well, it turned out, I had modified them before, so I had to make it so I could hook the cables up farther away. The cables are a little too long, so I made that arm that's picked it up an inch and moved them farther forward an inch. That would allow the pedal cables to be usable, and in doing so it caused other problems. But part of the reason that had to be done was the master cylinders. The original master cylinders I had purchased for the plane were for a larger plane, and they were taller than the new ones I put on, and I needed that pedal set up that way to make everything work. Okay, so what I really want to say is that you have to remember these war aircraft replicas were designed in the mid-70s. So back then they had only so many things they could use when they built the plane, so everything was designed around readily available products back then. And back then you couldn't find a whole lot of aftermarket experimental aircraft parts. So like today, we have a wide assortment of things. So these planes were designed with materials and components that were on hand in the 70s. So, and one of them was, the nice thing is the gear, the brake assemblies are from a Cessna 150, the rotors and the brake calipers. You could use the actual Cleveland brakes, and back then that stuff wasn't that expensive like it is today. Those Cleveland brakes now are probably $400 a piece just for the calipers, because they're all certified aircraft parts. The rotors, they're probably a couple $100 a piece now for rotors. So anyway, long story short is there was things that War had sold for these planes that are no longer available today, and one of them is these rims. These were originally made by a go-kart company called Margay go-kart rims. These are a two-piece rim that get bolted to a center hub. The center hub on this design you had to make from the blueprints. So those are no longer available. And I've searched and searched to try and find alternative rims, because people that were building these planes can't find replacements, and tell you I can't find anything either. So those are no longer available. And then when it comes to the tail wheel was the same thing. War aircraft used to have a tail wheel that they sold to use, and those things are no longer available. So all the trouble I've been having with my tail wheel is because it's not what it was designed around. So there's just many things like that in these builds that you just can't get the parts anymore. So by using the wrong master cylinders, and again the master cylinders that the plane's called out for, I don't even think they're available anymore. And if they are, they're probably over $500 a piece, because they were a certified aircraft master cylinder. So we have to modify to use. And then hooking mine up with those master cylinders I had to make that modification, which my whole premise of what I did was I was expecting I was going to need more rudder than normal because of the larger engine horsepower torque and larger prop. So that was the reasoning for trying to get maximum deflection, but it is deflected to what the plans call for. The plans call for 30-30, 30 left, 30 right, and that's what I had. But to make the pedals work without hitting inside with everything, the modification was made, and that just made the situation worse. So now I got the pedals in. The back of the pedal, there's an arm that sticks out, and that's what hooks to the master cylinder. Originally I had the master cylinder hooked all the way out to the tip of the arm, so the master cylinder has an arm that comes off the back of the pedal, and I had it out here, and then I had to move it in about inch and a half, 2 inches, about an inch and a half, to get the correct geometry to make the brakes better. So today, with the cables unhooked and hooked back up, now the pedal assembly is pushed forward more. So now that puts the tip of that arm at max deflection of the rudder right against the firewall, and if you try to push on the brakes, it's rubbing. So I lopped off about an inch off of each one of the pedals, and that took care of that problem. So now I've got that in there and adjusted. I cut down the forks last night. Took a 1/2 inch off of them off the bottom end and run a tap through them and rethreaded them and brought them in, put them in, and I bottomed them out and I backed them off like 4 turns, and then I locked them in, put the pedals in. I should have got in it and checked them, but I was using them, moving them inside, and everything seemed to be fine, so I had to button everything up. So then you know, I had to come down. I drained the tank, drained all the fuel out, about a little over 5 gallons out of the tank, so I could unhook it and take it out to allow me. But I've been down here now for over 3 hours. The current temperatures is like 89, pushing 90. The heat index is well into the 90s. Hot and humid, just stagnant air. I think the winds are fairly light, but I was intending on taking it out because it's not very busy here today. Yeah, the windsock is limp, but it's just muggy as hell. I've been sweating like crazy. So anyway, I was going to test it, but when I got in the plane to bring it over here, the pedals now are laid down so far that when I touch the pedal, my feet touch the bottoms of the pedals. There's a big round hump on the bottom, and with my feet sitting on the floor and I move the pedals, it moves. It's such a nice feeling that it moves. The pedals have also moved an inch forward. Gave me another inch because of that bracket I had on there. It allowed the pedal assembly to push an inch closer to the firewall, which, like I said, it still had room to clear except for that little arm on the brake master cylinder attach point. But it still does clear the firewall. But it moves really nice, feels really free, and I can definitely tell the difference in the travel. I've got, you know, at least 2 inches more travel, an inch forward, inch backwards, and it moves so easy. But the problem now is I got to push my foot way down to get to the top of the brakes to apply brakes, but with your heels on the floor and just using your foot like a gas pedal, it feels great, absolutely great. So I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to bring the pedals up a little bit more, enough that when I'm sitting in the plane and I have my foot against it, you know, my foot is against the pedal, say like this is the pedal, my foot is like this, and using this to push on is great. So I'm going to turn the pedals back so my feet still don't touch it without bending the toes a little bit, because pushing on it here with the feet, with my legs now, feels so much nicer than my foot flat on the pedal, because before I was actually having to hold my foot up and sitting on the pedal, and then if I'm not careful, I'm trying to apply the brakes. So I just kind of give you a show. I was going to make this video with the tank off to show what everything looked like, but I just wanted to get it together because it was so stinking hot, and the hanger was wide open like this one is here, and it was nicer inside than outside, but I was still really suffering over there, especially when I got to crawl down in here. So long story short, they feel way better, a lot better than before. I just need to come back, drain the tank, pick it up. I don't have to take it off, I just need to pick it up. And there's about 6 to 7 gallons in there, at least 6 gallons, almost 7 gallons. So you're talking 40 pounds of weight in that tank. And it's tough to get a hold of. Right now it's actually sitting in a little crooked. I see a little gap there. Needs to come this way. But I got to break it loose, get in, get the turnbuckles. I can pick it up and prop it up like you've seen in my previous videos. All I got to go in there is break the nut loose for the jam nut. Take the bolt out, screw them up some more, put it in, and jump in, see what it feels like, and then go from there. So, but yeah, some of the biggest problems with this plane is it was designed, you know, 40 years ago, if not 50, I guess. Back in 1974, 76 is when they designed these drawings, and a lot of stuff is no longer available. There was a piece of aluminum that you had to buy for the gearboxes that do the gear retraction mechanism, and it was a Z-shaped aluminum extrusion. You know, it was this way, this way, this way, and it was like 1/4 inch thick extrusions you buy by the foot. No longer available. So But because I didn't use the gearbox method, I used a hydraulic system. I redesigned all that. So, and then just got to keep reminding people that all this testing is for a reason, because that engine's never been installed in one of these aircraft. That gearbox never been installed in one of these aircraft. Water-cooled engines never been installed in these aircrafts. Flaps have never been installed on these aircraft. Hydraulic landing gears never been installed in one of these. There is one plane that had some hydraulics, but not like this. The tail wheel's never been installed with electric motor before. It's supposed to be cable drive off of sprockets and chains, and it's a nightmare. So there's a lot of things. This airfoil on this wing is completely different from the original one. And then every aircraft has a different cockpit layout, of course. No two are the same. So there's a lot of changes in this thing that just are not normal. And again, the tail wheel thing, you got to work around it as well as everything else. So, alright, I guess that's about what I wanted to make out on this video. So I was hoping to put the camera out and take it down the runway, but it just got it's getting too late. It's already coming up on 3:30 in the afternoon. Last night was a beautiful night, but I was down here and had to get take the parts home and modify them and have them ready for today. So, and then today I forgot, I didn't think about bringing a hacksaw, and I had to come over here and get into their little maintenance shed over here and find a hacksaw to lop off an inch of those arms. So I think that's about it for this video. I'll go ahead and get this up tonight, and if the weather holds out tomorrow, they're calling for showers mostly in the afternoon, and that's about the time I would be coming down to work on it. But I do want to come down and at least get that, get those pedals repositioned, and then if the traffic's not bad and the winds are okay, it's still supposed to be hot and humid, but it's a bigger chance for thunderstorms popping up any time of the day. So, okay, folks, as always, appreciate the comments, and keep them coming. They seemed a little more tame so far. I got up this morning, there was 40 of them in there, and as you can see, I replied to a lot of them. So let's just keep them going, keep them civil, and everybody get along, and we'll get this thing up sooner or later. But for right now, that's the only thing that I needed to do to push this thing to the next level. Nothing else is popping up that needs attention. As long as the engine doesn't overheat, and that's another thing. When this thing gets airborne, is it gonna cool? Is it gonna have enough cooling? Running it up down the runway, the temperature does come down, but I'm not running full power, and I'm not running in high power at any sustained time. So that's something that's got to be carefully watched, on that first lift off and around the pattern or whatever it takes. I got to make sure it's not gonna overheat on me. So again, untested. All right, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. It's just too damn miserable to work today. I'll try and come back tomorrow if everything's well, and I'll get that adjustments made, and maybe I'll get out and do a quick video up and down the runway if the weather holds out. So, all right, everyone, again, as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you maybe tomorrow. So for now, this is Dino Done out.